we brought together 8 individuals, 2 Buddhists, 2 Muslims, 2 Hindus, and 2 Christians, to see where they stand on certain social norms. Just like how we would vote on IG, for each poll, these individuals chose from firmly agree, firmly disagree, somewhat agree, and somewhat disagree.
I would date and eventually marry someone who follows a different faith.
I'm not quite from a perspective of discrimination. For me, it's just a matter of God being the most important thing in my life, right? And for me, if I can't share the most important entity in my life with the most important person in my life, I don't see that relationship working.
If that person is not discriminatory or makes me stop doing the things that I believe in, that person is entitled to their own belief system. And even if I don't agree with it, I just have to respect it, and vice versa.
It might sound, like you said, it might sound racist. It's not. Because
it's a matter of preference.
Exactly. You prefer someone, right? You prefer someone for the way they look, for the way they are, right? So it's your preference, your choice.
Here's the thing, I am not, but if I was an orphan and I was a born Hindu, but I was an orphan, then I would definitely stand in that side because I respect all other religious beliefs. In our family, we have the whole caste system into play. So basically how their marriage, because the prompt asked about marriage, it's basically that they give you one option, okay? So that's the only option you have. You literally don't have anything else. It's more or less like this, and they say you to marry him. Why? Because they check that he's in the same caste. They check that the astrology and the numerology and all of that align. They check that the Mars and Venus and the entire solar system is with you. So and the option that they give afterwards is that if you were to marry someone outside the caste or outside the religion, then you have to forget us. So you're basically kicked out of the family.
According to me, is your happiness less important than everything else? You're going to live with this goddamn bloody woman all your life, and do you really want to choose somebody who is not compatible at all? Do you? But just because she's from the same religion. I mean, you're going to make kids, you're going to be grandparents and everything. And you're going to be, coming home with so much of work pressure and complaining, eating our food every day, and still not being happy. You are basically forced to get married or to date somebody of that religion. You don't need to be forced. It's your happiness which is more important.
Okay, happiness is important, alright? Okay. So you go looking for a partner, alright? You find someone compatible. You can look at her looks, you can look at her personality, what she likes, everything you look into. You totally leave out religion. But put that also into the equation. You find the perfect one for you.
But what differs for each of us is how we prioritize in the happiness list. So I feel like for most of us here, family comes in the top 3 at least. So then we choose religious beliefs. So I would want a husband who is compatible with me and who I would like to go meet every day. But I would also want my kids to have grandparents. I would want my kids to have their aunts and uncles. I don't want my kids to just have me and my husband as their only family.
Having religion is like a connecting point. So that will actually give me happiness personally. So that doesn't mean I disagree with whatever the other persons are saying.
I support the LGBTQ community.
Again, it's a choice, and if someone has to make that choice, it's their right. That's it. That's pretty much it.
I don't necessarily think it's a choice. I think if you're born a certain way, I don't think you have the choice to change that. Definitely, I think everyone should be accepted no matter the circumstance, regardless of what it is, what their sexual identity, what their sexual preference is. It doesn't matter. I think everyone should be accepted. But when it comes to the legal issues and policies, I think the church and the state should be separated, and the legal issues should be handled by the state, and the church should handle what it's handling. right? And because of that, there are certain things, certain policies that I don't agree with. One being children transitioning below the age of 18, and that's something very controversial, but I think that's something I wholeheartedly disagree with. And even when it comes to marriage, like it's complicated. I think it's more nuanced than just making everything legal.
I personally don't support it per se, but I don't mind them being there. It's not that I don't accept them, I do accept them, but I'm not a supporter of it. Mainly because of the overhyping that comes in at the first wave. I mean, it's bound to happen. It's not like when a movement comes in at first, it's overhyped at first. So that's why I'm not supporting it.
I support them, but I don't want them touching me. To be honest. So, but I support them. I wholeheartedly support them. I will give the utmost support needed for that community to thrive. Because it's a psychological factor, right? The other day, they are coming up with something completely new which we never thought about. I don't know if these existed even before Christ or whatever it is. I don't know. I honestly don't know. So, it definitely did exist.
They didn't talk about it.
Yeah, I think they did talk about it, but like it's just that it wasn't as accepted as it is now.
He was looked down upon.
It was definitely looked down upon, and that's something I disagree with. Also, I think we need to highlight the fact that they should be equally represented in courts, because legally speaking, they don't get the fair representation that any other person would get in this country.
Here's the thing, I agree with what he said. I am accepting of them, just not sure right now whether or not I support them, because some of what they believe in comes in the way of my personal beliefs as well as religious beliefs.
I actually celebrate the person rather than the gender. So I am here because I would be accepting and I will support, and I won't discriminate per se.
There are people who support terrorism, and then these people they don't even harm you all. Like they exist, and there's nothing wrong. They just exist, and there's no harm. But there are so many people who support terrorism but not LGBTQ. That's kind of funny. Because these people have never harmed anybody, whereas the terrorists go on bombing people and still they get supporters. Why is that? I don't believe your identity is solely based upon your sexuality. I think that's just a part of who you are, that's just a part of your identity. And right now, your sexuality has become the focus of who you are and what your identity is.
I have every opportunity to become who I desire to be in this country.
Being a content creator myself, I mostly put out English content, right? And majority of this country is single speaking, and it's very difficult to get through to that audience, I would say. It's very difficult to make the content that you want to make for the people who can't necessarily understand what I'm putting out there. And that's not their fault. Maybe I have to be the one who needs to reevaluate my content strategy.
Sri Lanka has way less opportunities than they have abroad. Even degree-wise, there's so many options abroad, but here there's so little to choose from, which I don't know, is not a good thing, because like a lot of people want to do new things these days, and they don't have much options to do that. So I feel like in that way we don't have much opportunities.
So I'll relate to a small example, being a taxi driver. That's your passion, alright? But in Sri Lanka, if you are a taxi driver, you will be looked down to. Nobody is going to, give you the respect you get abroad. Whereas abroad, the job doesn't matter. So a fisherman, a person who works at McDonald's, a doctor and a lawyer will be seated beside you having lunch, dinner or breakfast with you. But in Sri Lanka, there is so much of drama and whatnot where you can't reach that goal. So I'm looking it from a different perspective. I guess it also depends on your perspective. The reason why I said I somewhat disagreed was because if you're coming from a digital perspective, right, I don't think nothing is impossible here in Sri Lanka, because our digital literacy rate is going higher and higher every single year. By 2021, we will probably be at about 70% internet penetration, which is great for us people who are in the digital world. Yeah, but then again, for job opportunities like artificial intelligence and stuff, there is not much of scope in Sri Lanka. You have to go abroad, you have to go to the States or UK or whatever it is. So that's my point of view where I'm looking at it.
Especially for me in the medical field, why I chose to strongly agree first and then disagree is, so Sri Lanka has free education and they give us opportunities to go to universities without any charge. But at the same time, for the medical field, the things that we are tested on in our A levels has absolutely almost no regard to what we study in medicine. And for those people who don't find interest in that and fail to thrive in their A levels, have little to no opportunities to become a doctor and serve this country in their respective field.
If we keep on complaining and telling this, this is the issue, it's not in the country. We need to take steps to bring that here. We need to take steps to bring artificial intelligence to the country. We need to take steps to bring more digital, things into the country. I'm not really good with digital stuff, but then, you get what I'm saying. Bring more things into the country and we make sure that the future generation has this and they won't have the same issues as we do.
The best example I can think of is, why is United States getting the coronavirus vaccine before Sri Lanka? Why are we behind? We don't have the opportunity. We are backlagging. I think we'll be the last country to get it, and why is that? That's my point of view. That's how I'm looking at it.
That comes politics. That is politics. That's a different story. That we have no control over. But and that's the current situation. So USA is a superpower. We are a developing nation. So it's a huge difference. So that's political.
Like say for instance, I do not want to be, but like my colleague said, if filmmaking is my dream in Sri Lanka, I would have to become a lawyer, get the resources, and then maybe when I'm like around 50 or retired, then I'll have the resources to be a filmmaker. And as a youth now, I would rather be a filmmaker now than when I'm old and grey.
Since you brought that up, I just one more thing. It's the internet. You can cater to people all around the world. They can bring in money if you want. Alright? It's your effort. It's your effort and the way you do your things that count. Because the country has given you everything. The country has given you the Wi-Fi, it's given you the internet, it's given you whatever you need. I feel like it's given most, not everything. Maybe there are a lot of things which are not there, but then you have the basics which you can start off.
Basics are not enough in this competitive world. Like take Wi-Fi, like you said, just using that example because you mentioned. So I grew up in Saudi and we had Wi-Fi throughout. There was no such thing as, data has run out. It was just available 24/7. And then I come here, I load the package for like 300 rupees or something, and then 1 hour later, bam, Instagram has taken over all the data. So all those are money constraints.
We are getting there. Whatever happens, we have to make sure that we get where we want to go. So it is going to be hard because in the olden days, in Sri Lanka there would be the first lawyer, there was the first doctor in Sri Lanka, right? So if you want to thrive in what you want to do, it's our job to make sure that we get there.
We are not moving forward as a country mainly because of our politicians.
There are politicians who are actually trying to help our country as well. And there are politicians who are screwing up our nation too. So, in that context, so there is a good side and a bad side of it.
We as a society, it's our choice that they are in parliament. So whatever they do, some politicians they basically bribe and get votes, but somehow or the other it's our choice. So we can't exactly blame them entirely if our country goes.
We are not blaming them entirely. And then if they are blaming people, they are not our choice. Because it's not a choice when you bribe someone. When you bribe the majority of people to vote for you, it's not a choice. You're just forcing most of the people to vote for you. Okay, you're just forcing most people to vote for you. Okay, it's my choice. Okay, so the person I want to vote to, I go and vote. Then there are 100 uneducated people, alright, whose votes are floating, alright, and a buck packet, alright, and maybe $1,500 to get them to come on to the other side. Then the person I want to won't come into power because those people, votes have been bought. So it's literally like, you know what, I want one vote, it's 1,500, come this way. I want another, you know what, 1,500, come here.
So accepting that backpacker, voting for that person anyway, knowing that you had been bribed, people do that, right? So that is also in parliament, right?
They are. Those people have no idea what happens to politics. They don't know what the economy is. They don't know what good is going to come to the country. They don't know what bad is coming to the country. You ask, okay, go and ask them what the GDP of the country is. They won't know. Go and ask them what are the laws that are supposed to be imposed. They don't know. All they know is that they want money to live the next day. They live that, I need 1,500 to live tomorrow. I'll just take it. I can use this for another week. I'm sorted. They're not going to think about what's going to happen to the country in 20 years. They're not going to think about what's going to happen to the country in 50 years. Alright, they don't care if the country develops or not. So they are just voting for the money.
You can't judge that person for wanting to eat the Wapaka the next day.
No, but we need to take steps to make sure that bribing voters are, it's not a democracy.
No.
It's not a democracy when people are bribed. So
Guys, to stop both of you, so no politician is gonna say that they're gonna make the country a worse place, or they're gonna get money off of you or anything like that. Every politician gives you the promise of a better future and a better country. But the problem is that no one ever does it.
The former minister of the previous government, okay, we all know what kind of fraud he was, right? But he was still elected to parliament. People knowing that he was a fraud, he was elected over and over again.
you're just proving my point. The people are illiterate and they are voting for random people who don't deserve to be in the parliament.
Yeah, so I'm saying we shouldn't
discriminate the parliament.
No, they are saying that we can't put the entire blame on the
parliament.
parliament.
Okay, so who's to blame? Okay, as a law student, tell me, there are three entities that govern the country. What are the three entities? Tell me. There's the judiciary, the legislative, and the executive.
Okay.
Alright, those are the three bodies that govern the country.
Okay.
Alright, so how are you telling me if so you're telling me the judiciary has anything to do with what happens to the country? The only two are legislation and executive. Who else are you going to blame if the country is going to shit? Tell me.
Ourselves.
What do I do that makes a difference in the economy?
Elect the wrong people in the parliament.
So is that so? I voted for someone I wanted. That person didn't come in. Why? Probably because a lot of people vote. I don't know, probably because they voted.
Okay, I have a different perspective to all this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we are a resource-based economy, right? We mostly import, right? And we are a service-based economy. I think there needs to be a shift of mindset. We shift our economy from a resource-based one to a service-based one. And now is the perfect time because our country's internet penetration is booming. Exactly. So responsibility kind of falls back onto us. We can go on blaming the parliament, we can go on blaming politicians, but if we ourselves don't shift our mindset of economical resources, I think it's going all the way ahead of us.
Imagine you voted for the cleanest politician, completely clean, evergreen clean, no bribery. Okay? I am pretty sure he'll be missing after he gets elected.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll be missing.
No, that's true. There is no good person that you can elect. That's the thing. So it's all their fault.
Either he'll be wearing a mask and robbing just like money heist.
Without the mask.
Without the mask, he'll be showing his true self, or he'll be doing a balance in between both. So that's why we are sambar. Green.